Peter Jackson was born in Pukuro Bay, New Zealand on October 31st, 1961. Jackson is most well known for his directing of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and in addition has directed varying genres of films like horror comedies, real-life-based dramas, and action and adventure spectacles. Jackson began his filmmaking career as a child doing short claymation films. He was inspired after seeing the 1933 version of King Kong for the first time. Using an 8mm camera given to him by a family friend, Jackson filmed The Dwarf Patrol, The Valley, and Cold Finger before he started saving for his own 16mm camera. Jackson saved funds over a period of 7 years before he could film his first real movie, Bad Taste.
I'm born again!
As a low-budget splatter film comedy, Bad Taste displayed some of Jackson's early notable film qualities such as gorish humor and a love for violence. After being shown at Cannes Film Festival, Bad Taste was distributed in 12 different countries. Jackson's love for film is clearly displayed through his devotion to his beginnings as a director.
Party's over.
After dropping out of college, Jackson worked full-time at a local newspaper as a photo engraver to save money for his dreams of film. Though Jackson's movies started out as horrifyingly gruesome, puns and witty remarks were always weaved into the scripts. As Jackson started encroaching on Hollywood, he began to branch out into new genres as he created Heavenly Creatures and later Lovely Bones. Though these movies have dramatically different storylines, Jackson manages to still include scenes of gore and humor, often portrayed by specific characters. During the production of his movie Heavenly Creatures, Jackson created a program called Weta Digital, which he uses to include the animation of changing scenery and giant butterflies in the air. Jackson's top 5 box office films are number 1, The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King, number 2, The Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers, number 3, The Lord of the Rings: The Fellowship of the Ring, number 4, The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey, and number 5, The Hobbit: Desolation of Smaug. His number 1 film, The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King, brought in $377,845,905. Overall, Jackson has won 20 Academy Awards, 4 Golden Globes, and 14 BAFTAs, of which include Best Director for The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King twice. Jackson was also appointed a member of the Order of New Zealand in 2012, which is the country's highest civilian honor. As any other director, Jackson looks for actors who will fulfill not only the persona of the character, but also who will understand the character and their part in the storyline. Big-name American actors like Vin Diesel, Jake Gyllenhaal, Nicolas Cage, and Liam Neeson were either turned away or turned down the role for many reasons, some of which, ironically, were the actors' doubt of success in the movies. One of Jackson's signatures is switching from many different angled shots during the climactic scene of a movie. This technique adds to the chaos and the intensity of the scene. Specific examples of his use of this technique are found in the murder scene of Heavenly Creatures and all the battle scenes in the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit movies. In battle scenes, Jackson jumps around from an overview of the battlefield to a close-up on the main character's fight, to a pair of random soldiers, to a giant creature knocking 15 people down at once, and then back to the main fight, all within a matter of 30 seconds. This technique can be seen in his earlier movies as well, such as the lawnmower scene from Brain Dead. Another commonality between Brain Dead and The Lord of the Rings is severed heads rolling or sliding on the ground. Jackson is also known for his cameos in his films, as he often plays a disgruntled character the camera passes by. Jackson also has themes he prefers. Most obviously, he favors violence and humor. However, Jackson does not use violence to frighten the audience, but rather to amuse them. As seen most frequently in his early films, Jackson uses his obsession with gory special effects as a vehicle for humor.
What's happening out there?
Shall I describe it to you? Or would you like me to find you a box?
Although Jackson has done many movies, those movies have a wide variety of genres and themes. Jackson creates his own style and uniqueness by proving he can fit into any genre he wishes to. After hearing the screenplay story structure seminar from Robert McKee, Jackson dramatically enhanced the depth in which his films developed characters and their relationships to the plotline. The difference in maturity of the plot is seen dramatically between his first 2 films and the films after the seminar. His first films His first films, Bad Taste and Meet the Feebles, have often been called unfocused and scattered. This improvement is what launched his career forward into what we know and love today. Jackson's most loved film series is that of The Lord of the Rings. In this clip, the audience is thrown into the middle of a battle scene.
That still only counts as one.
During action scenes, Jackson often follows the character's movement with the camera. Here, Jackson follows Legolas as he climbs the Oliphant and takes out soldiers on his way up. The Oliphant is an example of Jackson's love for gruesome creatures and giant creatures in battle. Jackson includes his sense of humor as the audience hears Legolas counting how many soldiers he has killed in order to compare with Gimli later on.
33! 34!
This kill count is an example of how Jackson uses violence as a way of enhancing humor. Within the clip, Legolas is constantly moving both on top of the Oliphant and by way of the Oliphant galloping forward in battle. A commonality of Jackson's battle scenes is the complexity of movement in the characters fighting on top of a moving object. This technique creates more chaos and increases the intensity of the characters' movements and epic skills, since after all, they are managing to take out an entire band of soldiers on top of a giant Oliphant.
Final count, 42.
42? Oh, that's not bad for a pointy-eared elvish princeling. I myself am sitting pretty on 43.
43.
He was already dead.
He was twitching.
He was twitching, 'cause he's got my axe embedded in his nervous system!